The last 5 games, Barcelona has won just once. Just once. And that happened away from home. The previous games, PSG have won 3 of them, including this one.
Before PSG won the Champions League, they had been to the Champions League semi-final. And the season prior, they had been to the last season. But before then, they had been to another semi-final and then the final. And in that period, they had met Barcelona, they had beaten Barcelona at the Camp Nou and what have you, and even sometimes at the Parc des Princes.
Another team that everyone expected to be better than last season, and that is Liverpool, because of how they dropped out of the Champions League to the eventual champions PSG.
He probably chose the wrong game to rotate the squad because it was always going to be tough in Galatasaray. They've not lost games at home for a very long time now. I think they've got somewhat 13 games without losing at home.
But their performance was very impressive for me. I feel like the way he played, if he plays the same way against Liverpool, we might get a result against Liverpool. But Liverpool already are now feeling the attitude of not starting seasons well.
They've got a certain profile that is incredibly difficult to replace. And Liverpool couldn't replace those profiles.
I like it or not, you make mistakes. So he should feel free and play. Look at Garnacho. He felt free and played, and he was good on the day.
Welcome to Footy Center Podcast Series. Welcome to Footy Center Podcast Series.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's match day.
We have the FC Pitside Podcast special coming to you for the first time midweek. Today's Wednesday at the time of recording. It's just about 7 p.m. and all the Champions League games have been played as of Tuesday and Wednesday. My name is Theo and thank you very much for joining me. If you're watching this on YouTube, please remember to do just 2 things we ask for: subscribe and leave a like. It goes a long way to help us bring you more quality videos and conversations like this. Also, we want to hear from you, so please leave your comments on the conversations that you are watching and hearing right now. Of course, if you're listening to us on Apple Podcast or Spotify as well, you've got one thing to do. Please leave us a 5-star rating, and the second thing is to leave us a comment, especially on Spotify. We would like to read from you. Once again, my name is Thierry and thank you very much for joining me, and I'm here with Sicho Atrim, and Sicho is not going to do this alone. Ajo will join us in a couple of minutes, but we're starting. And like I said, it's a quick reaction to the Champions League games as we've seen it. There's no better place to start than in Spain, in Barcelona, because that's where Barcelona faced PSG. And this was supposed to be the dream final for a lot of neutrals last season in the Champions League. It didn't happen because Inter Milan knocked out Barcelona en route to the final. And it has happened in the league phase. However, PSG went into this game with a lot of injuries and a few key absentees, especially in the forward line. But they still made do with substitute attackers in Mayulu and Gonzalo Garcia getting the goals for PSG as they beat, yes, you heard right, they beat Barcelona, in their own backyard. And so, Sicho, your initial, reaction to that particular one, how did you see the game, and were PSG a good, value for their money?
Yeah, incredible. They've shown that they are truly well and truly the European champions. They've shown that they are well and truly got into the World Club Championship final. They lost to Chelsea, of course, but they've shown why in the last 6 months or so, not many teams are getting the better of them. And you mentioned it, several injuries, some key players not available. Yet they went into that Barcelona game away from home and for large spells of the game dominated. I thought it was a game of 2 halves, really. Barca a lot better in the first, PSG a lot better in the second. But when PSG had their turn, they made the most of it and took their chances.
And it's interesting also when you look at the head-to-head between them. If you count this one, the last 5 games, Barcelona has won just once. And that happened away from home. The previous games, PSG have won 3 of them, including this one. All 3 wins have been in Barcelona, believe it or not.
Yeah. Well, to
So
be
so
fair,
so 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 they aren't pushovers, PSG.
no. To be fair, PSG have been building up to being dominant in Europe for some time now. People have taken their eye off PSG a little bit because don't forget that before PSG won the Champions League, they had been to the Champions League
Right.
semi-final, and
Mhm.
the season prior, they had been to the last season. But before then, they had been to another
Right.
semi-final and then the final. And in that period, they had met Barcelona, they had beaten Barcelona at the Camp Nou and what have you, and even sometimes at the Parc des Princes. So yeah, PSG have been building up to this point, but now what we were asking of them was if they are capable of sustaining success in Europe or continuously
Right.
showing that they are dominant force in Europe. And it looks like the way they started the season, they only can only get better, and the injured players will return and make them stronger. And maybe then they are still the team to beat in Europe.
Yeah, but it remains, to be seen. And as we know, like I said, this is a quick reaction to the UEFA Champions League games midweek. And so we'll quickly look at what the standings are and where PSG and Barcelona lie after 2 games each. Barcelona are 16th after losing, this one and winning their first game. PSG, after 2 wins, have 6 points. Now, that's a sharp contrast to PSG's start to the Champions League last season. It was abysmal. They almost didn't qualify, had to play in the playoffs to get to the latter stages of the competition. But of course, as we know, it's about what you do in the business end of any football season and not how you start. Just make sure you sustain, some decent form getting into important parts of the season. But Barcelona's high line, Sicho, is something that has been called into question. And, on CBS, Thierry Henry said something quite interesting, that you can't fancy your chances against the likes of Getafe and Levante, but if you face top quality sides, they will expose you.
Yeah, they will expose you, and PSG made them pay for it, and largely also because um, Barcelona played, if you like, a front four, one of whom
Hmm.
would drop into the middle of the park, almost being that number 10, linking up with
Right,
De Jong and Pedri. Now, out
right.
of that front four that I like to call it, or front three, only two of them are really, really good pressers of the ball, and that is Olmo and then Ferran Torres. And that is why at some point, of course, Ferran Torres stayed on the pitch for the 90 minutes because
Right.
Hansi Flick needed him to do those presses because Rashford is not great at pressing. Lamine Yamal is not great at pressing. So if we are playing against a high quality team like PSG, who everybody across the back line is great on the ball, because the new
Hmm.
goalkeeper they've got, Cavalier, is brilliant with the ball. The more reason why I thought they
Yeah.
wanted him over Donnarumma. Sabani is
Yeah.
good on the ball. Then you've got Paco, who's good on the ball as well. Then you have Hakimi and Nuno Mensch. The two of them are ball carriers. They are brilliant. They are dribblers. They are everything comfortable. So, and in the middle of the park, Zaire Emery, um, what's his name? Fabian Ruiz, and then
Hmm.
Vitinha. Great on the ball. So if you can't press and your line is high, you are running at a very big risk. And so when you play against Getafe, as Thierry Henry said, they are not going to necessarily take good care of the ball. So you can easily win the ball off them and then go. But when you play against a team that takes good care of the ball and you want your line to be high, you cannot stay off. You need to press the ball. You need to stop the team from picking those passes and getting behind your team. Otherwise, you're in trouble.
All right. Producer says you should up your volume a bit. So I don't know if it's the microphone that is too far away, or if you're trying to sound sexy for Madame watching. But
Can you hear me? Can you hear
anyway,
me? Can you hear me?
let's.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I can hear you, but I think it's maybe the feedback he is getting is not too great. But anyway, let's move on from Barcelona and PSG. Let's go straight to another team that everyone expected to be better than last season, and that is Liverpool, because of how they dropped out of the Champions League to the eventual champions PSG. Everyone was expecting Liverpool to start very strongly. Um, it wasn't the strongest lineup, considering that Mohamed Salah was not in it. But Anslot said it was to rest, Salah. It's a rotation policy that he definitely wants to have this season, considering how he stretched his key players last season. It didn't work in Turkey because in Istanbul they lost to Galatasaray. Sicho.
He probably chose the wrong game to rotate the squad because it was always going to be tough in Galatasaray. They've not lost games at home for a very long time now. I think they've got
Right.
somewhat 13 games without losing at home, and they've
Yeah.
got quality players. Some players who would on any day be even able to start in that Liverpool team. because they've got some very, very fascinating footballers, some experienced, some young and fresh. So it's a combination of everything
One
in
of them
that
was on the
team.
score sheet, and that's Victor Osimhen.
Victor Osimhen on the score sheet, and because Osimhen is starting, an early striker like Icardi is on the bench. Salah is on the bench. Leroy Sané didn't even play the game because he wasn't fit for the fixture. So they've got some quality in that team. But Liverpool have got a problem. And I know people say Liverpool concede goals and everything. For me, it's not about necessarily conceding goals, because even in the game they played against Galatasaray, they conceded only one goal, but they lost it. And I didn't mention it on the pod during the transfer market, that many people are paying attention to Liverpool's transfers with the players they are bringing in, and they are not looking at the players who are leaving the club. And I said it, that look,
Okay.
when you've lost Luis Diaz, you've lost may you so rest in peace Jota, and then you've lost
Right.
Darwin Núñez.
Darwin
These
Núñez,
three
yeah.
players, they've got a certain profile that is incredibly difficult to replace. And Liverpool couldn't replace those profiles. Yes, Ekitike has come through, but I don't think he's a replacement for Darwin Núñez. He might be a better goal scorer, but in terms of the sheer workhorse that Núñez is, the sheer ability to disturb defense and be nuisance to them, Ekitike or Isak are both not that. Then you've got a player like Luis Diaz, who tracks back, works so hard for the team. He's a good dribbler. He scores goals. He creates chances. He wins good fouls. He puts pressure on defenders. Cody Gakpo can't give you that. Cody Gakpo is a different kind of player. So if you have Cody Gakpo and you've got Luis Diaz, you've got two different players who you can use for different situations. Liverpool let Luis Diaz go, but they didn't replace him. The closest player to replacing what Luis Diaz offered Liverpool would be Chiesa. Unfortunately, the manager doesn't seem to trust Chiesa so much, or because of his injury worries, he hasn't trusted him. And now also for Liverpool, a lot of their new signings have to settle. Frimpong has to settle. Kerkis has to settle. For sure, Florian Wirtz has to settle. And here's the thing. Liverpool have brought in Frimpong and Kerkis. That is two new defenders in their back four. So now the back four now need to learn about each other. They need to understand each other. They need to readjust. It's not just a change. It's not a minor change. These are major changes. When you've brought two new fullbacks into your team, they need to understand they understand themselves and be able to play well together. And I think that is what has come to haunt them. And I still think that Arne Slot needs to make some bold decisions. Robertson is still his best left back, in my opinion, not Kerkis. And Conor Bradley as well should be.
That I believe.
Yeah. And Konate's form needs to really, really start picking up, because he's looked incredibly off the pace. You wonder if his contractual issues are getting into his head and is keeping his eye off the ball. But however you look at it, Liverpool are a great team. I think they will come good, but I think that the players that they let go, they didn't necessarily replace those profiles.
Also, we wait to see how Liverpool respond to this. Their next game is against Chelsea in the English Premier League at Stamford Bridge this
the pressure is mounting.
coming weekend. The pressure is mounting, not just on Liverpool, but also on Chelsea.
Absolutely.
And we'll be talking about Chelsea very shortly. But one man that has taken, all the pressure off himself is Kylian Mbappe. And it's because he now scores goals for fun. Every single game you can bet on him, getting a goal. This time he got 3 goals, in his game in the UEFA Champions League against Karat Almaty. Now that was in Azerbaijan, if I'm correct, and Real Madrid run Kazakhstan, and they run riot, winning 5-0, and that is off the back of losing miserably to Atletico Madrid in the Madrid derby last weekend. That's a good reaction, but I don't want us to really focus on Real Madrid, because this is a game that no one else, apart from maybe Madrid fans, will be focusing on. But it's Kylian Mbappe, and what he is reminding us of, considering his drop off last season.
Yeah, and to be fair, even last season,
he scored almost 40 goals. So
he scored almost 40 goals, but he went under the radar because Madrid didn't win things. Yeah, and he was the top goal scorer in the league as well, so that should count for something. Yeah, but I think what Mbappe is doing this season is different. What Mbappe is doing now is last season when he came into Real Madrid, he had come into a team of champions. Yeah, the boys had just won the Champions League when Mbappe arrived. So, and he has never won the Champions League. I think Mbappe was
Mm-hmm.
trying to be very humble. He was almost shy. He didn't want to necessarily impose himself as,
Do you think so? I don't
yeah,
I don't think it was a decision by him to be humble. I think the club humbled him in a way.
no, yeah,
You are a superstar, but all these guys have their moments when they realize that there are things that are bigger than them. You know, the way he ruled over PSG and Paris is different from Madrid and the club Real Madrid. And you know, it would overshadow you for a while until you're able
yeah.
to find your
I
feet.
mean,
And lots of players struggle. Eden Hazard struggled and was never able to come out of it.
yeah. I mean, I think that of course
Right.
that's what I'm saying. That he went to a club of winners. If he looks
Mm,
into the dressing room, Bellingham has won a Champions League. Vinicius multiple times. Chouameni, Modric, all of those boys that he's talking to are multiple winners or one-time winner of the Champions League. So he couldn't have gone there to assert himself. So I think that also
right.
played into Mbappe's behavior and attitude in the team, that he almost wanted to be a part of the group. This season, though, he doesn't necessarily want to be a part of the group. He wants to be the man of the group. And he stepped out
Right.
of that shadow. He stepped out of the Mbappe who was generally the one trying to be involved in everything, to become the person who the team needs to look up to. And look, for Alonso, the numbers the boy is producing is incredible. And so that speaks for him itself and speaks for himself. So yeah, hat-trick in the Champions League. Now only 5 players have scored more goals in the Champions League than him.
Yeah.
And those are legends. You've got
And
Cristiano
I
Ronaldo,
have
of
the list in
course.
front of me. So there's
Well, it's
Ronaldo with
digital. Yeah,
140
digital.
goals.
Yep.
There's Lionel Messi with 129 goals. Robert
Yeah.
Lewandowski with 105 goals.
Yeah.
Karim Benzema with 90 goals. Raul with 71 goals. Before Mbappe with 60 goals. These are all legends of the game, not
These
just
are all
of the
legends of
Champions
the
League,
game.
of the
Right.
game.
Yeah.
And so he's definitely in good company. When and even those behind him are also legends. Muller, Van
Muller.
Nistelrooy, Erling Haaland, and Thierry
Yeah.
Henry. So Mbappe
Yeah.
is definitely a man for the big occasion, and
Absolutely.
he's proven it time and time again this particular season. Anyway, 26-year-old Mbappe is trying to remind us that he's currently the best player in the world. It's going to be a bigger battle for Lamine Yamal going forward for the Ballon d'Or. He's not going to be contesting against Ousmane Dembele, and you can tell the El Clasico and the trophies in Spain will be a big determinant of who wins the best player in the world in the coming years. I like to see it. It's all popcorn stuff. Anyway, let's welcome Ajo into the conversation. And today, like we said, it's a quick reaction to the UEFA Champions League. It's our first midweek conversation here on FC
100%.
Pitside Podcast. Ajo, you're welcome.
But Henry, where's your headset?
My headset is not heading me right now. It's somewhere. I don't know.
Yes, guys, sorry I'm late. I'm coming from a program.
Yeah, I can see
That's
that. I
fine.
can see a very bright necklace on you. So you must
But
have
I
looked
usually-
sharp
Did
wherever
you
went
go
to.
on a date or you went for a program? Which is which?
Yeah,
Well,
because the
program-
way you're
how
looking.
Haruna Juicy's son's program. He learned his scouting and
Yeah. I was
Oh,
invited to
right,
it.
right.
At the
Right,
yeah,
right.
I was invited to it, but I couldn't make
Yeah.
it because of the rings.
Yeah,
Harry
we have some
Idrisu
free-
himself is now a millionaire after very good football sales. So
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
it's good that they reinvest the money, and I like to see where the money is going. It's good to
Yeah,
know.
100%.
Anyway, Ajo, we've had conversations around Barcelona and PSG. You missed it. We've had conversations around Liverpool
Yeah.
and Real Madrid. But I want you to talk about Chelsea, because Chelsea played against Benfica and won by a goal to nil. No Chelsea player scored, even though they won. It was an own goal, but Garnacho was the instigator of that. Were you impressed by the performance, and do you think your Chelsea stand a chance against Liverpool over the weekend?
I was impressed, very, very impressed with the discipline on the ball and off the ball.
It's
for
good
me
you
was
mentioned
immense.
discipline, because there was another red card. We'll get to it.
Yeah, we'll get it. Which we have to chastise him for, because if it was Jackson, I mean, he won't have peace. But I like the approach. Let me touch on every single profile on the day. If you watch,
Well, remember it's a quick reaction. So
yeah, but just some quick one. But
Okay.
the Ashley's performance was very impressive for me. I feel like the way he played, if he plays the same way against Liverpool, we'll get a result against Liverpool. But Liverpool already, they're now feeling the attitude of not starting seasons well from the fullback's perspective. So I feel like Garnacho was brilliant on the day. I like Maresca's approach. We were able to defend so well without our key defenders. So for me, but actually stole the day for me. He was very impressed. Like I was so impressed with how he played. And also
Right.
Benanote, I feel like he wants to avoid mistakes in Chelsea's play. But you're number 10. whether I like it or not, you make mistakes. So he should feel free and play. Look at Garnacho. He felt free and played, and he was good on the day. So I like the performance of Enzo, Caicedo, Garnacho, and Badiashile. But for Gittins, Chelsea fans are worried. They are saying the same thing.
Sicho was telling you he's mid last week, and you said you give him time. So why
I
are you
told
worried
you.
now?
Yeah, I know Gittins. He's my
The
guy.
Yes.
Gittins is my guy.
His body language is even off. On and off on the ball, he's like he's off.
I don't think it's a body language problem. He's been intimidated by a bigger club. I mean, with all due respect to Dortmund, even though it's a big club, he's come to Chelsea. He's seen technically good players, or better than him, and these things can weigh you down. I mean, we all talk about how heavy a shirt can be. It's not because literally the shirt is heavy. It's because it's a figurative way of letting you know that you are playing for a bigger club now. And
The
sometimes
guy
the pressure
is
can weigh on you.
average.
He's
He
average,
can't
and
even
he,
run.
he belongs to an average team.
He's
to be
He
honest.
can't even run. He can't even run. Run and
Yeah.
track back and help Kukurela. He can't even run.
Yeah,
And I feel like this is
I think he's one of the guys that would not last long at Chelsea one bit. He does not belong to the club. When you look at him play,
I
he
can
does not
agree
belong
with
to
you.
the club. And he's
can
not one
agree
of
with
those guys that you say you give time. You can give time to Garnacho. You can tell there are signs that there's confidence. There's a bit of arrogance around.
50 million pounds, British pounds.
But
you see-
Gittins is not the guy. Yeah.
And
Anyway.
for the João Pedro bit, you see, I feel like it was on purpose. I'm looking at the Brazil squad now, and he's not in it. I'm like, okay, maybe this guy feels tired, he wants a rest because it didn't make sense. A referee,
He actually told Maresca after the last international, that he was not ready to play the next batch of games, and he was
I
forced
thought
into it because of situation. Yeah.
Yeah, he wants to rest, but it doesn't make sense. If this was Jackson, we'll chastise him because leg up high, if a yellow card, fair enough, but you don't go and insult the referee. The same thing Jackson was doing that we didn't like. That you are,
Right.
you've come.
I mean,
in,
I understand you, but
getting
I don't know
red
what you think about that incident, though. But João Pedro's body language when he was substituted on was that of a guy who he wasn't interested. He didn't want to play. And usually it doesn't mean that it was intentional. I don't think any elite professional at that level will intentionally want to get himself sent off just to get a rest.
Yeah.
It is him knowing, when you're not fully, I mean, we've all played football at a very juvenile, amateurish level. When you are not in the game, your body does things that if your mind and brain was sharp, you wouldn't have done. And I'm telling you, if his mind and attention was on the game and he was sharp, he wouldn't have raised his leg to that level. That is not João Pedro we know. And it just comes with the fatigue. It's like, I can't take 2 steps to get there, so why don't I raise my leg? It's a lazy way of solving the problem, and it's because he's tired. The body language is not there. Sicho, I don't know what you think. Anyway,
No, I think there's an aspect of João Pedro Chelsea fans maybe have not been awoken to yet, but he's got that in him. João Pedro is quite erratic sometimes, and you don't see it coming. He can even square it off with his team. I mean, it happened at Brighton a couple of times where at training grounds he have a bust up with his teammates because of bad tackles or speaking back and everything. He's not necessarily the calmest of heads you would find, but I think that his footballing abilities overshadows that aspect of his game, so it goes under the radar. So yesterday when I saw that happen, I was like, okay, that is not necessarily out of character from João Pedro, but yeah, I can understand what theory you're saying. When your brain is fatigued, as he says it was, and he didn't necessarily want to be involved in games, these things happen. And when you're playing football, and your legs are feeling heavy, your mind is tired, you don't want to be on that pitch. You can act lazy, you can move lazy, you can react slower. So if he was again sharper, as he rightly said, maybe he doesn't dangle his leg as he did. Maybe he takes a couple of steps and tries to win the ball or allows the player to go. But I think that is an aspect of João Pedro that needs managing, because even with his own teammates, he's got history with that.
Anyway, let's move on from Chelsea. Chelsea have secured their first win in over 900 days in the Champions League at home, and so hopefully they're able to maintain the momentum. They have pleasant fixtures in the group stages. Well, when I say pleasant, it doesn't mean easy, but some they can deal with. Some they know they need to work hard and plan very well for. What about Barca is easy. Well, we've already spoken about Barca and we've spoken about Real Madrid and whatever. But, Chelsea definitely have been missing a striker, and that striker is away at Bayern Munich. And he scored a goal for Bayern Munich, Nicolas Jackson, as they run riots. But this is not a game I really want to talk about because they played against Pafos, with all due respect.
Wait.
Playing
You see
against
David
Paphos, they scored
Luiz.
Paphos.
I want to
You
credit
see
company
David
so
Luiz in
much. I
Paphos.
watched him. Yeah,
No, he plays for Karabakh.
Lewis at Paphos.
Paphos.
Paphos?
Yeah,
Yes.
Paphos.
In
Oh,
Cyprus. In Cyprus.
Stamford Bridge, yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Paphos.
Is
Yeah.
he 37? Is he 37 now?
It should be. Yeah.
Yeah,
Crazy. He doesn't want
yeah,
to
yeah.
retire.
He didn't fare too well,
But
but of course, it's against Bayern
let's
Munich.
bring up company so far for what he's doing. He doesn't have an auxiliary number 10. His number 10 is injured in Musiala. But he has found a way to be playing Gnabry there sometimes, Harry Kane there sometimes, and he gave Jackson the chance to play as number 9, dropping Harry Kane to number 10 position. And Harry Kane, even when he's playing as number 9, drops to play as number 10. So that guy has evolved his game and is so good on the ball now that we have to commend him for that. So I was asking the boys on a different platform that between Harry Kane and Mbappe, who's a clinical finisher, and they all went for Harry Kane. Surprisingly, he's a proper English.
One day, we'll dedicate
I'm so
15 minutes
impressed.
to discuss who the best striker is in the world in your eyes. And of course, the candidates are Harry Kane, Erling Haaland, Mbappe. No, I don't want your answer now. When we get that episode, we would go into that. Yeah. So Bayern Munich are also trying, and they are doing their very best. They beat Chelsea and they beat Paphos. They also have 6 points in this particular group stage. Manchester City today, Erling Haaland scored 2 goals against AS Monaco in France, but there was a very, very late equalizer through a penalty by Dyer against Manchester City to prevent them from picking up all 3 points away from home. Pep Guardiola and his charges will be fuming based on how they consider that goal and the effect of that on their Champions League season. But Arsenal also beat Olympiacos by 2-0. Martinelli on the score sheet, and Bukayo Saka is back with a bang. He also got himself on the score sheet. Sicho, do you think this is the season where Arsenal go all the way to win the Champions League?
I don't think so. Look, we just saw PSG with a depleted team go to Barcelona to dismantle Barcelona, especially in that second half. And I think they are still.
But to be fair, though, last season when Arsenal faced PSG, they dominated PSG. PSG, went through very marginally, and so with a stronger Arsenal side, there's an argument that could go in favor of Arsenal.
No, I don't think so. I think every game is different. Arsenal met PSG in the league phase. Arsenal were by far better. Right. 3 months after that, PSG met Arsenal, and Arsenal were not as good as they were. And people forget it. People say when Arsenal met PSG 3 times. The first time was in the league phase. Arsenal completely dominated them. Then 3 months later, when they met in the knockout stage, PSG had closed the gap. And between then and now, we've seen PSG leap and bounces to win the Champions League. So if you ask me, I think PSG is the team really that has leapfrogged what Arsenal had done when they first met last season. But I still think, look, Arsenal have got a decent squad, but to go the long way to win a Champions League is a big ask. Maybe they focus on the Premier League and maybe the League Cups and FA Cup, but not the Champions League.
Not the Champions League. All right. So I think this is where we'll bring an end to the conversation on the UEFA Champions League this midweek. Like I said, it's a quick reaction, and we've done under 30 minutes, which really was the aim. Newcastle United beat Royal Union Saint-Gilloise by 4-0. Atletico Madrid also thrashing Frankfurt, and Frankfurt are actually very much on form in Bundesliga, so that's a big result for Diego Simeone's side. 5-1. Yeah, Bodo also drawing 2-2 with Tottenham Hotspur. Inter Milan also beating Slavia Prague by 3-0. Marseille continuing their very good form against Ajax, 4-0. They won. Atalanta also at home in Italy against Club Brugge, beating them by 2-0. And Borussia Dortmund also beating Athletic Club de Bilbao by 4-1. Bayern Leverkusen drawing 1-0 with PSV and Eindhoven. And I think those are the big ones. Karabakh also beating Copenhagen by 2-0. So Karabakh have a perfect record so far in the competition. Let's see how that goes into the next fixtures. But quickly, guys, I would want us to just preview a little bit, touch on one game each in the Premier League this weekend. What game are you looking forward to this weekend, guys? Do you have the fixtures in front of you? If not, I can just walk you through some of them.
I think both of us will go for the main game. There's only one game. Okay. There's only one game.
Right.
The Chelsea Liverpool game right now.
The Chelsea Liverpool game. So what are you expecting in that game, guys?
Yeah, I think Chelsea can do something in that game. Looking at how Liverpool play now, if you can exploit Henry, we can exploit their fullbacks. and you can try and win this game. This is why I expect Maresca to try at least overlap. You don't have a lot of numbers in defense. If you are going with a 4-2-3-1, even invert Cucurella, try and overlap with James, because Kekes defensively is not too sound. Bradley or Frimpong, they are still struggling. This coach Slot went in for attacking fullbacks. They came in, they are struggling to adapt. Kekes is even, there's no balance for Kekes now so far. But Bradley and Frimpong, they don't know who to even start. And I said it here 2 weeks ago that Liverpool, I'm not seeing what they want to do. They are grinding results last minute, but there's a problem with their fullbacks and it's affecting their midfield, because sometimes they revert Gravenberch to come and play as a right back. So starts to come and play as a right back, which doesn't help their midfield, because Fleury has not started the season so well. He's struggling in midfield. They don't have Jones even firing for them. So they have problems in midfield and the fullbacks. That's what Chelsea can exploit. But it depends on what Maresca will do on the day. I want him to start Estevao, Garnacho, Joao Pedro, and I'll go with let's say Enzo as a number 10. Start Lavia, start Caicedo. Lavia can play this game. He's always available for Liverpool game.
But I think Lavia is going to play, because now there's no Andre Santos. Andre Santos is also injured. Esugu is also injured, so he doesn't have midfield options. He only has Caicedo and Lavia anyway. So,
but I don't think in this game.
But I don't think Lavia starts. I think he'll play, but I don't think he starts. I think it's going to be Enzo and Caicedo. He's going to find someone to play number 10.
It's going to be Enzo, Caicedo, Buonanotte, I think.
Buonanotte, yeah.
I feel like he's still scared. I feel like he's scared.
I think that's going to be a midfield combination. I think he's still going to trust Pedro Neto. Between Garnacho and Estevao, one of them is going to start, and there's going to be Joao Pedro, considering he will not be playing in Europe.
But I think, look, the major problem for Chelsea would be the fact that it's probably going to be Badiashile and a champion playing centre half. I don't see how they beat any top Premier League team with that centre back,
and also with that goalkeeper behind those two.
So that is why I don't really have any confidence. If it was for Fana, Levi Cole, or it was Tosin and Chalobah, and that I can see it. But if it's a champion Badiashile, I don't see how Liverpool do not get enough goals to win the game.
All right,
I like
guys.
How he played against Benfica, so I hope he does the same thing.
It is Benfica, and Badiashile was only passing to Sanchez and taking the ball back. He played about 40 passes to Sanchez. People say he completed 90 passes. About 50 of them were to Sanchez and back.
It's like counting Mikel. It's like counting Mikel Lubi's passes and realizing that he was only passing to the guy next to him.
Mikel Lubi pass completion.
Anyway, before you guys go, I have one question for you. Name this player. He played for Cannes, and then he played for Arsenal, and then he moved to Manchester City, and then he played for Istanbul Basaksehir, and then he played for Servette in Switzerland. Not Abu Dhabi. Not Abu Dhabi.
Sanya. Bakary Sanya.
Gal Clichy is correct. No, Gal Clichy. Gal Clichy is correct. This is the only question that I have for you guys today, and Adjo has won it. So it is 3 against 1. The scoreboard is 3 for Sicho and 1 for Adjo.
I've won before.
You've won before?
I've won before. Esteban's time, yeah.
So maybe that time we hadn't started counting. Okay, so 3-2. So 3-2. 3-2 it is. Anyway, so that'll be all for this episode. Thank you very much for joining us. This was a quick wrap of the UEFA Champions League. You heard Adjo. He said subscribe. Wherever you're watching this, subscribe. Follow us on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to the YouTube. Leave your comments, like this video, and we'll definitely react to that going forward. Thank you very much, and we'll see you some other time.
Welcome to Footy Center Podcast Series. Welcome to Footy Center Podcast Series.